So good morning, everybody. We are going to be doing a webinar on successful Just Faith and Engaging Spirituality Midsummer Promotion. In the course of this particular, if I can figure out how to advance my slide here, there we go. In the course of this webinar training, I will be sharing about the two extended programs of Just Faith Ministries, Just Faith and Engaging Spirituality. Just Faith Ministries does have other programs, of course. There's the Good News People program. If you're not familiar with that, there's more information on the website. And then there are also Just Matters modules, which are 8-week topical modules, and those are available as well on the website. Is more information. But today we're going to focus on Engaging Spirituality and Just Faith. So there are 4 primary areas that I'm going to talk about today in terms of midsummer successful promotion of Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality. Promotion weekends in parishes or congregations or areas, inviting past and present interested, engaging Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality graduates, if there are any in your area, in inviting other people. And then I have a few other ideas about primarily demographics of people who seem to have an interest in the Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality programs. So to start with, I'd like to share a little bit about promotion weekends. What I mean by a promotion weekend is when you set up the opportunity to visit with your community or congregation or parish, an opportunity for somebody to come and share a brief witness in the context of a weekly worship service, or, and I should say not or, and a brief information meeting after that worship service or Mass. So when we talk about promotion weekends, the first thing that would be really helpful is to set those promotion weekends at least a couple months in advance. So say you're at a Catholic parish and you want to set up a promotion weekend after every Mass on a particular weekend. The first thing that you want to do is call the priest or pastor or priest of that Catholic parish and find a date that works well for them. You'll want to schedule it again 2 months out because scheduling it 2 months out will allow you to put an announcement in that bulletin of that particular parish saying, we're going to be sharing about the Just Faith program on this particular weekend, and plan on sticking around for a few minutes and learning more about the program. So you want to set it out, the date of that promotion weekend out far enough that you can actually put a bulletin announcement in the bulletin preempting that weekend and inviting people to stick around, if that makes sense. The other thing that you're going to be setting up or asking the priest, if it's a Catholic parish, or the pastor, if it's in a congregation, or congregational leader, if whatever their community is if someone can give a 2 to 3 minute witness talk during the weekly worship service. Now, or the weekend worship service. Now, what I will say about that witness talk is this. It really needs to be a witness talk. If somebody stands up in front of a parish or a congregation or group and starts out by saying, Just Faith is a 24-week program. I have a promotion committee in my area that's skilled at communications. They have communications and marketing backgrounds. And the first thing they'll say is, Susie, never stand up and say, I'm inviting you to a 24-week program because you've already, turned off people and closed them off to the possibility of the program before you even get started. And so to stick with a witness, we do at Just Faith Ministries have build a witness template for anybody that wants that. And it gives you some language to start out with, which sounds more like this. Just Faith is a national program based on Christian social principles or Jesus' life and witness, that has engages people in compassion and moves people to a greater sense of purpose. So that's the kind of way you want to start out by describing JustFaith, and then launching into my experience of the JustFaith program is, if you have, again, graduates in your area, or if you yourself are a graduate of either the JustFaith or the Engaging Spirituality program. The same applies, of course, with the Engaging Spirituality program. To stick with the witness, but to describe it, to not start out by describing it as a 21-week program. So again, a witness talk within the context of the service, and then asking for the priest or pastor or congregational leader if you can also have a brief information meeting immediately after the weekend services where somebody's providing their witness. That's the place where somebody can go then and get the details about the program, that it is 24 weeks, that it's weekly meetings, 2.5-hour meetings, that kind of a thing. That's where you share the details of the program. I can tell you again that in my area that the information meeting, if we can, once somebody in our area has given a witness in a parish or a congregation and invited people to an information meeting afterwards, once people show up at an information meeting, their chances of actually registering for JustFaith or Engaging Spirituality almost double. It has, if they're interested enough to show up at an information session, then they're interested enough to register. So, so those information meetings are huge. One thing I would say about the information meetings is a lot of times a priest or a pastor or a parish leader, if I'm setting up one of these weekends, will say, the only thing is that's our coffee and rolls weekend. Our community usually has pastries and rolls, and it's our coffee hour. So that might not be the best weekend. And my response to that is always, then that makes it an even better weekend, because you want these information meetings to be somewhat informal. And if it can be done in conjunction with a coffee and rolls weekend, that's even better. Because then you can have people go through the line, get their coffee, get their roll or pastry, and come down to a table that you've kind of segmented out to do the information meeting right there, and it's a lot less formal. The last thing that I would say about the promotion weekends is to ask the priest or pastor if, in addition to having a witness, in addition to doing a brief 15-minute information meeting after each service, and again, we have a brief information meeting outline for anybody who would like that at JustFaith Ministries. By contacting me, you can certainly get access to those things. The third thing would be an information table, realizing, of course, that if somebody provides a witness, they may strike an interest in somebody who just physically, for some other reason, cannot stick around that day. And so to have an information meeting or an information table where somebody leaving the worship service that morning can stop and grab a flyer about Engaging Spirituality or about JustFaith, and also a contact sheet that they could put their name and contact information so that you can follow up with them. That's really a best practice, because if somebody is willing to give you, all we ask for is a email and a phone number. If somebody is willing to put their name down and an email and a phone number, then we can follow up with them about their interest when they have time to hear more about the program, or check into their interest a little bit more. And even if JustFaith doesn't work out, then we can, again, circle back and visit with them at some time in the future about their interest. So that's the ideal way of setting up a promotion weekend, and those have a lot of return on your investment of time to do those promotion weekends once you get people into the information sessions. And so I'm going to pause right there for just a second, and I'm going to we have just a couple of minutes for anybody to ask questions if you have a question. Okay. So I'm not hearing any questions to that, so we'll go on with the webinar and talk about past or present interested. One of the other primary ways of getting people into the Engaging Spirituality or Just Faith programs is to literally spend the summer months contacting anyone who's expressed an interest in the past. A couple of different things I want to say about this is some of you may not have access to everybody that's been interested in the past. In my area, we actually have a database, and so we have a database that tracks that. But I realize that across the country, not everybody has access to a database, and not everybody has a comprehensive list of everybody that's been interested in the past, or people you think might be interested if you've never done the program before. So what I would suggest is simply sitting down and writing down the names and contact information, if you have it, of anybody you know that you think has either expressed an interest in the past or you think might be interested in the program that you're hosting, whether it's Engaging Spirituality or Just Faith. And then if there are Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality graduates in your area, asking them who they know that has expressed an interest from your parish or congregation, because generating that list is huge. Again, just like after the promotion weekend, capturing contact information is huge. Generating a list of people that you can actively follow up with is also huge. Sometimes, because of the length of Engaging Spirituality and Just Faith, people need more than a couple of months to commit to the program. I think about somebody like myself. If you came to me and I had never done the Just Faith program before in the past, and you invited me to consider it this fall, no matter how interested I was in that program, and I would be interested in a program like Just Faith, I would tell you that there is absolutely no possible way I could do it this fall, but I might be able to do it next fall. And so to capture contact information again, or to keep a running list of people who are interested is just huge, because then that would have given the person the ability to follow up with me, next summer about participating next fall. So start by tapping into a list. If your parish or congregation has a list, go to the person who has that list. Maybe it's you yourself, or create the list of people that you know and that graduates in your area know, or people you think might be interested. There are 3 ways, of course, that you can contact people that are interested: personal phone calls, one-on-one meetings, and through personal email. I probably don't have to tell anybody on this call that the primary way, the way that you want to contact people that has the best return on your investment is either a phone call or a meeting face-to-face. Email is always the third option because email is a little bit less personal, but a phone call or a face-to-face meeting will allow you to be able to share about the programs and to be able to insert your own personal witness or your own perspective about why this program would be a great thing, where you can't necessarily get into all that detail in an email. But certainly if all you have is an email address, definitely to send an email. But July and August are exceptional months to just simply follow up with anybody that has ever expressed an interest that you know of, or anybody you think might have an interest. And again, I'm going to just offer a pause here for any questions that anybody might have.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. The third primary way that I would encourage you to do successful summer promotion of Just Faith and Engaging Spirituality is by engaging graduates of these programs in your area. Now, again, the caveat here is that you actually have graduates of the programs in your area. So if you don't have graduates, just hang tight for a second because I can visit with you a little because I'm going to say a couple of things about if there aren't graduates in your area. But for those of you who have Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality graduates, just like that personal invitation that you issue is the best way to get somebody to consider the program. If you have graduates in your area who can be issuing those invitations to other people as well, that is certainly the best practice, because no matter what kind of survey we do at Just Faith Ministries National, inevitably the primary way that people register for a program is through personal invitation. So to have other Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality graduates inviting others is just huge. Just Faith Ministries did 4 or 5 years ago a campaign that they called Each One Reach One. And I loved that campaign because it did a beautiful job of asking graduates of the program to invite other people. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. One is to actually to craft an email script. This is if you want to hit a number of people all at once. Your graduates have already gone through the program, and so they have a vested interest in it. And so you can use email with your Just Faith graduates, and that will be just fine. So to craft an email, and what I mean by craft an email script is something like this. My colleague Susan Chapman is on the phone, so I'm going to use her as an example. If I wanted to, if Susan was a Just Faith graduate of, or an Engaging Spirituality graduate in her area, I might send her an email note that said, "Hi Susan, we know that the best way to get people to participate in Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality is by personal invitation. So would you take 1 or 2 minutes to copy and paste the email below and send that note to someone you think might be interested in the program?" And then that, of course, that email script would be something that the graduates could use to invite somebody else. But I can tell you that that's a really good way of getting graduates to help you invite other people, because if you have a pre-crafted email script, then they can simply copy and paste it into a new email and send it out to somebody that they think might be interested. Or it might just generate a thought about somebody that might be interested, and that person may pick up the phone and call somebody else. So you just never know how far that will go. I can tell you, again, using myself as an example, as a very busy person, if you send me an email that says, send out an email to somebody you know and invite them to participating in Engaging Spirituality, I might put it on my to-do list, and it may take me a week or 2 to do it. But if you say, there's an email below, just simply copy and paste it and send it out to somebody you think might be interested, then I'm way more apt to do that immediately and disseminate the information to somebody that I think might be interested, just by changing the greeting line to something more like I would use as a greeting line, or a closing line as something that I was used as a closing line. So that's what I mean by craft an email script. You can do the same thing by, rather than handing out flyers, you can certainly hand out flyers in person, but you can also do the same thing. You can send Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality graduates in your area, here's a flyer about the program that we'll be offering the fall. Can you think of 3 people who might be interested, and will you forward this flyer to them right now? So that's another way of inviting graduates to invite others. Witness sharing. If you have the opportunity, like the promotion weekends, if you have the opportunity to get graduates of the programs in front of groups of people and sharing their witness, that is by far one of the most successful ways of raising interest and curiosity about the programs. So I regularly during the summer will look for opportunities to be in front of groups with a person who can share their Just Faith witness. So again, using graduates to share their witness to invite other people. And then lastly, handwritten invitations. This is sort of a long lost art form, but it's one that has legs that can again gauge some interest. If you're like me, I get so many form emails and form letters in the mail. They almost immediately go in my recycle bin if they come in the mail. But if somebody, a friend of mine, actually wrote a handwritten note that said something about um, I I received a flyer about this program that I had gone through, and I thought of you because I thought maybe you would be interested in this. So I'm putting a flyer inside. Hope you're doing well. If I got a handwritten note from a friend of mine that had a flyer and just a line about, I thought you might be interested in this, I am going to read that flyer and I'm going to consider the program because I got that handwritten note from my friend. And I'm actually going to open it to begin with. So a handwritten note, even though it's much more time intensive than copy and paste, if you can invite some of the graduates in your area just to simply write 1 or 2 or even 3 notes to people they know that might have an interest, that's a very accessible way to disseminate the information. So again, I'm going to pause for just a second for any questions before we move on to the last thing. Okay, and last but not least, just in terms of some demographics of people in general who have had an interest in JustFaith or engaging spirituality. Oftentimes in my area, I will send out an email to our JustFaith or Engaging Spirituality graduates that will say something like, do you know a recent empty nester? If you do, forward this JustFaith flyer because we found that empty nesters, people who have, sort of patterned their lives around their kids and are now for the first time don't have a child in the home. Their children have all moved on to college or somewhere else. Are suddenly going, okay, now who am I without my children? and so there's an interest in something for them. So some demographics of people who have had an interest in the JustFaith and Engaging Spirituality in the program, in those programs before. Empty nesters, recent empty nesters, or recent retirees. I would say pre-retirees too. Some of our participants are people who were in their last 1 or 2 years of their career, and they're prepping for what they're going to do in retirement. And so near or around retirement age, or recent empty nesters again. Those people who are looking for a change in their life. I know for myself, I was actually in midlife. You might have said it was a midlife crisis, although I don't call it a crisis. I just call it a midlife contemplative point maybe. But I was actually looking for a change in my life, and so ended up registering for a program here locally that would feed me personally. This was after my JustFaith experience. So those looking for a change are people that are ideal for JustFaith or Engaging Spirituality. People that are lifelong learners, people that show up for any, faith formation hour or Bible study or those kinds of things. Those are folks that just love learning. And if you're familiar with JustFaith or the Engaging Spirituality programs, you know that there is, in addition to the transformative nature of these programs, they also have a great deal of information and education about issues. And so people that are lifelong learners are drawn to this program, or drawn to the programs, I should say, both Engaging Spirituality and JustFaith. Those interested in social justice can be drawn to either program, both Engaging Spirituality and JustFaith. And those interested in volunteer service, The Just Faith program has opportunities for immersion, which definitely connects people with local service providers and possibly future volunteer opportunities. But also Engaging Spirituality has the component of inviting people rather to connect with some sort of local organization to be engaged in service. So both of them have a connecting point with service. And so people who are looking for some type of volunteer service might also be interested in this program. Other things that I want to say, and this is a thing that I will go back to for anybody who doesn't have Just Faith graduates in their area or Engaging Spirituality graduates, and anybody who's never done this programs before, there's some tools that we certainly have available, or some tools that you can gather yourself if you have done the programs before that are great for promoting. We are in the process of creating and have already a handful of 1 to 2 minute video testimonies that you can use in your areas that are people giving their personal witness about the program. Those video testimonies are fabulous because they're 1 to 2 minutes. They're videos, so they're much more engaging than reading something, and they're good. They're really good. So one way of receiving these videos, of course, you can email me, or you can also tag. You can like Just Faith Ministries Facebook page, and you can share these video testimonials, or you will have access to them so that you can use them for other forums. So these 1 to 2 minute video testimonies are available for use through social media or in other ways in your parishes or congregations or areas. You can also do, if you're doing social media, you can do a 1 to 2 line personal quote with a picture. We did this all summer, one summer, where we would have the picture of one of our Just Faith graduates and just 1 or 2 lines about their experience. If you get any longer than that, people just won't read it. Again, my promotions and communications experts will say anytime in a social media post, if you have to click more, people are 80% less likely to read that. So to keep it to 1 or 2 lines and put a picture with it, because everybody loves looking at a picture, whether it's a person they know or some sort of graphic that's fun or engaging. You can also do a 1 to 2 line program description with a link. Again, it's quick, it's easy, but you'll want to use things like want to change the world. Just Faith may be the program to help you think about how that's possible for you. More information is available here. And so that's the kind of 1 or 2 line program description you want to use. Again, you definitely don't want to say Just Faith is a 24-week program with weekly 2.5-hour meetings that engages you in compassion, because then you have turned people off before they've even been engaged in the program. So for Engaging Spirituality, you could do something like want to integrate your service with prayer, or want to integrate your prayer and service so that they complement each other. Learn more about the Engaging Spirituality program at, and again, the link to Just Faith Ministries National website. So those are some tools that you can use via social media, and there are also tools that you can grab from us through our webpage to use for promotion in your areas, whether you have Just Faith graduates or not, whether you've done the programs or not, whether you have Engaging Spirituality graduates or not, and whether you've done the Engaging Spirituality program. Some other promotion ideas, again, bulletin announcements and flyers. We actually have some data that says bulletin announcements will pique people's curiosity enough to get them into a group. So to definitely use bulletin announcements every 2 or 3 weeks all throughout the summer. I change mine up regularly. About every 4 to 6 weeks, I change up my announcements, so it's a little bit more engaging every time. So using bulletin announcements, again, you just want 1 or 2, maybe 3 provocative sentences, and then to learn more, go here. Because you just don't want to inundate people with information in an announcement. Flyers, you can do flyers. Again, flyers sometimes will capture people's attention just because of the graphics, especially if you print them in color. You can certainly use flyers in 2 or 3 locations in your parish or your congregation, or if you're open to it and your congregational leader or your parish leadership is open to it, your priest, you can promote the program in neighboring parishes or congregations. That's certainly one way of inviting people into the program. And again, there you go, announcements and flyers into neighboring parishes or organizations, or congregations, excuse me. So using flyers can also capture some interest in the program. So with that, I will invite any questions that anybody might have in the last few minutes of the webinar today. Well, it was great to have you on our call today, but feel free, even after we hit end on this webinar, feel free at any time to contact me. Again, this is Susie Tierney. I'm the Director of Organizing for Just Faith Ministries, and feel free to contact me anytime if you need any help with Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality promotion, or if you need any resources or materials for your promotion that you're not readily finding on the website, on the Just Faith Ministries website, and I'm happy to visit with you and find out what you might need and what might be most helpful to you. One thing I do want to say before we end the webinar is our Just Faith Ministries website and our social media page can be your best friends in terms of promotion efforts, and so definitely regularly check our website for updates, information, for promotion resources, and definitely like our Facebook page so that you can get some of these sound bites that you can pass on or copy and paste use in another way in your parish or congregation or area. So don't be afraid to contact us.
I have one question.
Oh,
you have one program tomorrow. Is that in continuation of today's session, or is it a repeat?
Tomorrow's webinar is a repeat of today's session, so thank you for reminding me to mention that.
Okay.
So anybody is on this webinar today would not need to do the webinar tomorrow, as it is a repeat.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I know a couple of people are on silent right now, so again, thank you for attending the webinar this morning. Thank you for all of your work on the ground and for your interest in Just Faith or Engaging Spirituality. For those of you with an interest, again, we're available. For those of you who have been doing this work, your efforts in your areas are so greatly appreciated, and we thank you for all of that.
Thank you.
So have a good rest of the day, and God bless.